This is American Cemetery Live. Hey, it's Tom Nondorf here with American Cemetery and Cremation Magazine.
Hi, I'm Ashlinn Goodman, Director of Cemetery Solutions by Security National.
It's been a little while. It's summertime. Summer's upon us, Ashlyn.
Oh, I thrive in the summertime, Tom, don't you?
I do, and it's been a super hot one in a lot of places. So have you been going around to a lot of these cemeteries that have to deal with lawns that are being scorched by the heat?
Yes, everything is on the table right now. The scorched lawns, the sprinklers are out, the grass is growing, and of course, a few complaints too about the weeds. Of course, if you've ever worked in the cemetery, you know that that is the thrill of summer.
The thrill of summer, the thrill of talking to Ashlyn Goodman is she's a super positive person, but today I'm going to ask her to be both positive and negative. I want to see what lurks in the dark heart of Ashlyn. We got a little taste of that on our last episode of the things that were making her mad, but today we're going to talk about the duality of cemeteries. What's really positive? What has you super positive about cemeteries right now? And then we'll take a look at the dark side. What has you, if not negative, a little bit concerned? And overall, take a realistic look at what's going on in cemeteries right now that people can either be preparing for or preparing against.
You
So,
know,
start with positive, Ashlyn Goodman. What has you thinking, man? This is a golden time to be in the cemetery field.
it's funny you say that, Tom. Some would say that Ashlyn, maybe not the beacon of positivity, but for you, I will be. There's some really great things going on in the cemeteries right now. One of them is there is a stronger push for community in a few different ways. Some of that is that the communities are interested in community events. Some of that is communities are interested in the things that lie in your cemetery already. One of the big things I've been seeing lately is just history or restoration of monuments existing in the cemetery. People are very into participating in that right now, especially as it is summer and it is nice out and they can be outdoors and help with things like this. The other thing I think is incredibly exciting is there's such great breakthroughs in technology around cemeteries. We often think about the cemetery industry as a bit dated, and I always laugh that it's 20 years behind any other industry. However, look at all of the cool things that are happening, like online cemetery sales and cemetery mapping, renderings of cemeteries on your phone that you can just go like this and see what spaces are available. GPS on your phone to get to graves, all of that's super cool. QR codes on monuments, it's absolutely amazing. And then even community pushes for like national placement days that we've seen come out from companies. So there is good momentum occurring right now.
There is, and it's interesting you talk about both the community aspect and the technology aspect. And to me, what's interesting is the intertwining of that is the communities that you see online. And I wrote a piece recently about how Reddit is a very interesting place to find people talking about cemeteries. But Facebook has numerous pages, and whatever your tech platform is, let's just go ahead and say TikTok. There are people out there wanting to go around in cemeteries. That social media element to it. Now, we could talk about whether that can get annoying or whatever in terms of people showing up at your cemetery. But interest in your cemetery is better than non-interest in your cemetery, correct?
100%. It's actually shocking how much already exists out there, maybe even about your cemetery that you don't even know.
Well, our other friend, our other Ashlyn Rickard Werner has written a great deal about that, about how you can harness that historic energy, because a lot of cemeteries will say, well, I don't have an old Hollywood star buried here, or even the governor of my state or some local here, but there's always a story to be found if you take the time to look for it, if you go to your local library and find it. And then once you tap into that, you do find people are interested. And there are places like in Indiana, I don't think in this time of year through the fall, you could throw a rock without hitting somebody in a historical costume that's hanging out at a cemetery teaching people. I mean, that stuff is is everywhere right now, and that's very exciting to me.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those secrets lie within those who work in these organizations at cemeteries. It's shocking what they know that you might not know, or how many times you visited a cemetery and you didn't know that this person was there, or this actually happened, or this bit of history. If you're looking for something to do over the summer that's free and a good time, cemeteries are your answer.
I suppose you might deal with this in talking to sales staffs at cemeteries, but you're having to pump them up to be excited and interested in their cemeteries. It's funny if you have people come by, let's say to your house, and they're excited about something that you didn't know about in your own house or in your own neighborhood, or if you don't latch onto that and get excited yourself, you're doing a great disservice, because often people who are with a thing every day, they lose touch with that excitement until people come and say, hey, you get to be around this every day.
Yes, I always say with your cemetery park tour, don't assume they know. You should tell them three facts, like this is how many people are interred here, or this is what year we started, or this is kind of our origination story. That is cool to people. And to your point, like we forget about it. It's not cool to us because we do it every single day. We're like, okay, we drive into the neighborhood every single day. Get me re-excited.
So there's much to be excited about on one hand, but you alluded to maybe you're not really so positive as you seem. Ashlyn, let's tune into the dark side of Ashlyn now. What has you concerned about cemeteries? What has you freaked out?
Okay, so now I turn into the Sour Patch Kid or whatever, right?
Yes.
Oh, so look, we've just said how we're leaning into the tradition of cemeteries. People are involved again, people are interested again, and maybe they're looking at more traditional options. For all of that, there's this other side of the push that's like, okay, we did burial, and okay, then cremation was a big thing, and people were all excited about cremation, but now people are almost over cremation. Like that's not even good enough anymore. So you see this push for natural organic reduction and green, and I want to be a diamond, and I want to be a flower bed, or send me to space. So it's like, oh, now there is a whole other set of objections that we had never heard before that are in the forefront of everybody's mind because they read an article in People magazine or something.
Yes. When I talked to Barbara Camus of Cana recently, she told me that. She's like, the hardest thing now is to get media because cremation is so old hat,
Yeah,
which is positive, right? It's so commonplace.
yeah.
It's not even something people want to talk about. There's no media in it. But if somebody comes up with an idea like turning you into a stone, a rock, you know, a picture frame, wow, that's news. That's something fresh, and then that sweeps the country. My question to you is though, is the interest real? It's really interesting to read about. Is the interest real in terms of people, and more than me, out there who make these claims that they actually want to be a stone or whatnot?
I think they are really interested right now. And I'm not saying that some of these things aren't cool in concept. There are definitely really cool concepts out there, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't do them. It has been my experience that with many of those non traditional things, um, they don't use all of the cremated remains. So I do still think that there's opportunity there for a cemetery. Okay, like get your diamond with some of the cremated remains and then let's place the rest of them here because that tradition does matter and that history does matter. Now, whether or not those are long term things or whether or not 20 years from now there will be even more of those non traditional offerings, that I think only time can tell.
Yeah, let's be clear. We're not talking about whether these are good ideas or not, or interesting things or not, only from the context of somebody who runs a cemetery and that's their line of business, how they must deal with these things mentally to say, do I need to actually prepare for people who come to me and say, I actually want to be a diamond, or they're not going to come to you at all because that's what they're doing, you know, and then are you even aware that you're losing that many people to these non-traditional offerings because you're hanging out, not even thinking about it?
It was so interesting because I was at a conference of which I will not name names, but one of the things that we had to do is plan our own funeral and our own, cemetery arrangements if those pertain. And out of a group of 100 plus people who work in the industry, when they shared, probably 15 people shared, and no one said anything traditional. You did hear the rocket, and you did hear the space, and you did hear, like make me a sea biscuit and Key Biscayne or whatever. And I was like, oh man, if we are heading that direction and we think it's cool, what does that mean about the general population?
So if you're a cemetery person and you're doing your thing and your cemetery is doing pretty well sales wise or whatever, but are you preaching, hey, look out for this stuff? It's definitely in people's consciousness now. Whereas you might have written something like Parting Stone or whatever to name one of these, you might have written that off as a cool idea that's never going to affect you, but it is something that you need to say, okay, how are we going to at least handle it as an objection from people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty interesting also because when I first started selling cemetery pre-need, I said, hey, I've been talking to some people lately who said that they're interested in cremation and they don't need cemetery anymore. And what I was told at that time is like, oh, those are few and far between. Don't worry about them. Somebody says that they want to be whatever, Seabiscuit, a diamond, what have you. Oh, that's few and far between. Yes, in 2026, that may be few and far between. Will we see that increase in 27, 28, 29 with marketing efforts? Yes, I'm sure that we will. So my advice is take that objection as serious and take that objection as an opportunity to educate on why permanent placement still does matter and how you do have options with cremated remains. That is one of the best things about cremation is there's a lot of it that's up to you, and the ability to split cremated remains if your religion allows and be in separate places is absolutely on the table. But it takes you as the advisor knowing that these products exist, because admittedly if somebody came to me and said, oh, I don't need to talk with you, I'm becoming a flower bed or whatever, I would say, well, that doesn't exist. Well, heads up, Tom, that completely exists. You should probably be aware of it.
So Ashlyn, overall, if you had to sort of compare the Sour Patch Kid side of yourself with the Lady of Optimism that I know you to be at times as well, where do you stand? Where do you feel? Can cemeteries be cool? And is there also a little devil on the shoulder of every cemeterian that they need to pay attention to?
You know what? Cemeteries are cool. I'm declaring it right now. So I've got my basket of flowers and I'm heading over to the side of good. Whatever little devil I have on my shoulder, I'm flicking it off today. I am staying with the positive. Technology is great. Community involvement is great. People are into the concept of traditional right now. Let's capitalize on it and make cemeteries even cooler.
Ashlyn's been a wonderful visit, and upcoming we have a little footage of you out on one of your escapades. So let's let folks see that.
Oh my, I can't wait to see it. Good to see you today, Tom.
Yes, later.
Later.
I just got back from Boston, Massachusetts, where I was speaking at the Massachusetts Cemetery Association, but meanwhile, I thought to myself, why not take a little exploration around town? And what part of that included was walking the entire Freedom Trail. Now I walked the entire thing, so it was about 4 miles, and one of the most visited stops on the Freedom Trail was the Granary Burial Ground, established in 1660. It's where Paul Revere and Sam Adams, John Hancock, and the victims of the Boston Massacre are all buried. And as uninterested as we think that people are in cemeteries, this place was packed. And there was a guide out front, and the guide out front was solely volunteer, but had put together all of these resource materials that you could bring in with you into the cemetery so that you can find all of the notable graves and facts about the Granary Burial Grounds. You could hire him as well for tours. And so it was just a really unique experience. I highly recommend that anybody who has the opportunity to visits the Freedom Trail in its entirety, but especially in our industry, the Granary Burial Ground. Pretty cool stuff.